Welcome to Indigenous Earth Community Podcast. Today we are going to have a very special episode for you, continuing our conversation about exploring green careers. We're going to be talking about mentorships, and who better to lead us in this conversation than Brooke Wheeler, the seasoned professional in the environmental field and a leader for youth environmental education and volunteer programs, and a big friend to our podcast. We're going to go back to the river to continue our conversation with her. And then we're going to go back to the studio to talk to Daniel Hill, who is the innovator director at the Environmental Defense Fund and the creator of the hashtag Open Door Climate Movement. If you think about how to navigate a journey to a sustainable green career, how can a mentor help you? This is some of the questions that we talk about in this episode. Brooke is going to share her insight on identifying one's goal and then seeking a mentorship, while Daniel is going to introduce us to the hashtag Open Door Climate Movement, a community of climate professionals that are willing to lend their expertise to aspiring environmentalists. But this conversation is just not about seeking guidance. It's also about giving back. We're going to hear the stories about people that were looking for jobs on the sustainable field, and once they found it, they joined the Open Door Climate Movement and then mentoring others, because the climate crisis is upon us and we should create more sustainable jobs into the green economy. Our communities should be the ones taking those jobs and leading the environmental field. So stay tuned. I think you're really going to like this episode. And now, let's go back to the river. We are in a special mini-series talking about exploring a green career. And we are here with Brooke in the middle of the Wekave River. We're actually on the water having these conversations. How are you, Brooke?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me back.
Yeah, for sure. How was coming down the river? What do you think about it?
It was so relaxing and serene. It was definitely what I needed. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, happy to be experiencing this with you. And last time we were talking about exploring your values to figure out a job that you can be fulfilled for. Mm-hmm. And we kind of left it at is how it can be actionable. What is the next step that you can take? So you already kind of find out where you want to work, but maybe you don't know how to get there, right? So we're talking about mentorships. I think you mentioned it a couple of times when we talked on a previous episode about how important some mentors were for you.
Yes.
So what would you say for people out there that are looking for mentors?
Well, I think one of the biggest things for a mentor is to figure out what your goals are. So if if you're looking for a mentor while you're in college, someone who can give you real life experience about what kind of courses you should take, what kind of internships you should seek, who can give you that real in-depth information about the field that you're pursuing. So I think that's one important thing for you if you're a college student. But if you're after college, you really want to seek someone who's in the field within the organization that you're looking to join. Whether that's a nonprofit or a federal government, it's really important to find those type of mentors within the organization.
Yeah, for sure. And I remember for myself when I was doing environmental projects, and I really thought that I had to do things on my own, and I really seldom search for people to help me. Mm-hmm. And I just look back like, man, if I have asked people to help me, I knew they were going to help me because I'm in a way that when people ask me for help, I'm able to help them. But when you're young, you maybe think that the people around you, the adults, they don't really want to help you. But if you don't ask, they don't know that you're needing that assistance, right?
Right. I mean, that's like, how would you know? The worst they can say is no, right? And I think that's also, you might want somebody to be your mentor, but they might have not the time to dedicate to be your mentor. So kind of being open to the fact that you're going to get some no's. But, there are opportunities for you to reach out more so than ever than I was in school through possibly LinkedIn, even within your own network to be able to find a mentor.
Yes. Talking about LinkedIn, we're going to have the conversation with Daniel Hill from Open Door Climate. It's a way that you can contact people that are in the environmental movement. They're willing to have a conversation with you. So thank you so much, Brooke, for the time. I really appreciate you being here, and I look forward to talking to you soon.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Enquanto isso, na sala de justiça.
We're back in the studio. It was such a great time to be on the Wekiva River with Brooke. And if you're friends with me on social media, you know that I would like to have solar panels to make the recording and the hosting of this podcast run by 100% renewable energy. I'm here in Orlando, the Sunshine State. I would love to run this podcast by solar energy. How cool would that be if our podcast is run by renewable energy? But I'm kind of getting sidetracked a little bit. We were talking about how to connecting with people that are working on climate jobs, so that way they can mentor you and help you to find a climate job for yourself. Because as we know, the climate crisis is up on us, and every job, as my friend Shandi says, every job should be a climate job. So how do we do that? So let's talk to my next guest. Daniel Hill is the Innovation Director at the Environmental Defense Fund and the creator of hashtag Open Door Climate, and now hosting a new Degrees podcast miniseries called The Year of the Climate Job.
My name is Daniel Hill. I'm a senior manager with the Environmental Defense Fund.
Daniel, can you tell us more about what is the hashtag Open Door Climate movement?
Open Door Climate, it's a community of climate professionals that are volunteering to speak with really anyone that's interested in pursuing a climate or green or sustainability job or career. And the idea is really, we know we need a lot more people to be working on climate. We know there's a ton of people out there that already want to. A big challenge is just finding people to speak with that are already working in the space and asking them questions and hearing their journey and just learning from their own experience. So the idea was, could we make that a little bit easier and a little bit more accessible for people by just kind of getting ahead of it and saying, hey, I'm open to talk, let me know.
Thank you for that. And I think it's such a great initiative. What has been the most rewarding part of this project so far?
Oh, wow. I started doing this maybe last spring, just on my own, kind of having an open door policy. And I spoke with close to 50 people in a matter of a couple of weeks, which was, I see now, way too many people. But it was really interesting to then see, one of the people I spoke with went on and actually got a job in the green space. And then months later, I saw them themselves posting an open door policy. So to see it kind of move, being paid forward from people that have benefited from it is obviously just so exciting to see. But also just the kindness that has come out, like just the number of people that have volunteered their own time just to make themselves available. I always knew it was a very collaborative field, but it's always another thing to actually see it popping up on your screen every day.
I love the aspect of people paying it forward and then becoming a mentor themselves. But let's say that somebody's just kind of starting out, how can they be part of this movement and how they can connect hashtag Open Door Climate?
Yeah, I'm happy to walk through that, and then happy to also a couple other areas that you can check. But for Open Door Climate, if you go to opendoorclimate.com, there's a really quick survey that you fill out if you're a job seeker. And then each week you'll kind of get an email with a couple of different professionals that are willing to connect. You can reach out to them and find time. So really, really straightforward. It's really, again, just about kind of connecting people to those that are already making themselves available on LinkedIn. I do think there's also a lot of other great networks out there. There's Work on Climate. They do different mentorship opportunities. There's Climate Base, which is a really good organization that does a lot of kind of mentoring. I would always encourage just going with whatever network you're already tapped into. Don't be afraid to ask folks that are already in those positions if they'd be willing to have a quick chat, if they'd be willing to be a mentor. It's amazing that through this experience, I've really learned that a lot of people are looking to give back, and usually it just takes either asking them or just see if they're willing to. I can't underscore enough the importance of mentorships and just informational kind of conversations with people working in the space that you're interested in. I would really recommend checking out Open Door Climate, but also some other resources that are available out there.
There you have it, folks. Thank you so much, Daniel Hill, for being on the podcast and sharing the resources such as the Open Door Climate. And a big thank you for Brooke for being on the river recover with me and having that conversation about finding mentorship. I think this is a great conversation that we're having about people that are looking to do more for the environment, more for Mother Earth. They have passion to make it their full-time job. They just don't know how to navigate those new careers. So this is a great start, I believe. And if you're interested to hear more, please let me know. Would like to know and hear more about this topic, as me and Brooke have a whole series planned out, but we want to have your input. If this conversation is interesting to you, let us know. And thank you everyone for listening to the podcast. I really appreciate it. We were doing amazing in Canada, #1 nature show, and we couldn't be there without your support. So thank you very much. If you enjoyed this episode, share with a friend, as this is the way that we spread a message. And if you already have told all your friends about our podcast, give us a rating, because that's the way that we know that what we're doing here is beneficial and valuable to you. Thank you so much. Aguje. Bye-bye.